Cannabis Cookbook. Medical Marijuana Recipes for Sweet and Savory Edibles. Written by Oneida Powell. Narrated by Dylan Parker and Peter Seymour.
Introduction to cannabis. Cannabis is the Greek word for hemp, from which canvas is inferred after the plant's sinewiness. A family contains a single type of tall coarse yearly, found in most soggy soils, particularly as a weed of nitrogen-rich soils, close to a human home. Cannabis has its focal points and drawbacks, contingent upon which political and strict group you're conversing with. Whenever manhandled, abused or abused, it very well may be cataclysmic to one's body, mind, and comprehension functions. In any case, when utilized properly, it can fix numerous afflictions, for example, dread or apprehension, anorexia, torment, queasiness, and heaving. Indians, which means those local to the Americas, not the nation India, have utilized cannabis for restorative purposes for quite a long time. They utilized it in cooking, drinking, and even a few salves to be scoured occasionally on creepy crawly nibbles or stings, just as cuts caused by consistent communication with the compelling force of nature. It's imperative to recall here that cannabis is anything but a destructive, inebriating drug that harms our bodies, and however, it can be utilized for some reasons to support it. There are a few books and destinations on nature's drug that give plans for these prescriptions, which are amazingly useful on the off chance that you can access the said recipes. A few states in the USA have at long last yielded to allowing cannabis. In any case, they have likewise made provisos in those recompenses that can get one of a considerable measure of legitimate difficulty whenever got with over a specific measure of it. There are numerous thoughts and paranoid fears about why this is. Some think it is on the grounds that the legislature can't make sense of how to control its development and assembling as they do with liquor and tobacco, while others have been made to accept that it genuinely is destructive to the body. Try not to misconstrue, there are some negative impacts of weed when utilized for entertainment. To be specific, one will, in general, become less rational and fast to react, indulging just as outrageous exhaustion. We live in a quick-paced world, so utilizing cannabis as a recreational medication can fairly hose the impacts of the quick carousel of life. Because of the legitimate confusions of cannabis use, it's difficult to the opening talk about such issues to government authorities. In any case, we the individuals reserve the privilege to gain proficiency with the genuine idea of nature's gifts and medications and the battle for the option to utilize them. Measurably, cannabis isn't so destructive to our general public as liquor and tobacco, in which those two medications will, in general, influence the open when expended separately. Our general public has made some amazing progress so far in fairly authorizing the utilization of restorative cannabis, and it's dependent upon us to proceed onto this street of movement, as it is our right, nay, our obligation, as American residents to implement cultural change. In this ebook, I am going to show you some great cannabis recipes to try. Cooking with cannabis. Therapeutic cannabis is utilized to treat an assortment of issues, including constant torment, youth epilepsy, and muscle control issues. While utilization of cannabinoids is regularly cultivated by smoking, eating therapeutic cannabis is ordinarily the favored technique. Notwithstanding, cooking isn't as straightforward as tossing pot leaves into your brownie blend. Cooking with therapeutic cannabis is then as straightforward as subbing an imbued element for an ordinary one. If you have the advantage of having the option to acquire your medication from a legitimate dispensary close to you, you may have seen the huge choice of edibles that are starting to flood the racks. These pre-made, pre-bundled cannabis-implanted treats are more available to patients these days than any other time in recent memory, yet lamentably numerous edibles, despite everything compressed with sugar, high-fructose corn syrup, and other undesirable recipes. While these prepared nourishment pleasures can be a simple method to get sedated in a hurry, numerous medicinal weed patients lean toward making their own cured bites and imbued dinners, and in light of current circumstances. Go along with us as we investigate the entirety of the famous cannabis cooking procedures and become an ace gourmet expert in a matter of seconds. Decarboxylation. Utilizing cannabis as a prescription starts with understanding the fundamental study of decarboxylation and why it is a pivotal procedure in making edibles, tinctures, and topical medications. To get
Sample complete. Ready to continue?